So picture this. You let a family member borrow something of yours, something big, like your camper, because you're trying to be the nice one. You figure, hey, what's the worst that could happen, right? Well, let's just say I found out the hard way that the worst asterisk can asterisk happen. Enter Karen. Yep, asterisk that asterisk Karen. She's the kind of person who acts like the world owes her something. And when she saw my camper parked out front, she decided it was the perfect free ride for her little spontaneous vacation. No asking, no heads up, just took it like it was hers. But here's the twist. What Karen didn't know, and what I forgot to mention, is that my camper isn't exactly your average weekend getaway vehicle. It was loaned out to a friend at the DEA. Yeah, that DEA. It had just been returned after serving as part of a mobile lab setup for a special investigation. Let's just say it still had some unusual equipment and markings inside. So when Karen rolled into a crowded campground with what looked a asterisk lot asterisk like a federal operations van, things got asterisk real asterisk weird, real fast. She thought she was just getting a free vacation. What she got instead? Well, let's just say it wasn't the getaway she had in mind. So here's where it really starts to spiral. Karen had no clue what she was dealing with. She thought she was being clever, posting pictures of her fabulous camper life on social media, tagging the location, showing off the setup like she owned the thing. Meanwhile, I was at home scrolling through my feed, wondering why my camper was suddenly the star of her vacation reel. I mean, she didn't even asterisk ask asterisk, just helped herself. Classic entitled behavior. Now, a little backstory. The DEA had borrowed the camper for a few months as part of a mobile surveillance unit. Everything inside was cleared out when I got it back, or so I thought. Turns out, a few pieces of non-sensitive equipment was still tucked away in the cabinets. Nothing dangerous, but definitely not something you want lying around when someone's pretending to be on a chill camping trip. Karen, of course, didn't bother opening any drawers or paying attention to the odd gadgets still bolted to the wall. She thought it looked futuristic and left it at that. But other people at the campground, not so chill. A couple of them started whispering, pointing, even taking pictures. Then someone made a call. And just like that, Karen's relaxing vacation took a sharp turn into something that looked a lot more official. By the time Karen realized people were looking at her weird, it was already too late. Campers nearby had started to notice the tinted windows, the odd metal boxes inside, and the faint markings on the outside that hadn't fully worn off yet. Stuff like "Guff use only" and faded barcode stickers. One guy even swore he saw what looked like lab equipment when Karen opened the back to grab her beach chair. That's when someone called the park rangers, who then called local law enforcement, and things got serious real fast. Meanwhile, I'm at home getting calls from unknown numbers and a message from Karen that just said, asterisk, what the heck is this van? Asterisk, no apology, no explanation, just confusion, like asterisk I asterisk did something wrong. I knew I had to step in before things got worse, but honestly, I wasn't sure what kind of trouble she'd already stirred up. Here's the kicker. One of the campground neighbors was a retired DEA agent. Yep, the one guy you don't want seeing your borrowed camper that asterisk used to asterisk be part of a federal sting operation. He recognized the setup instantly and started asking Karen questions she couldn't answer. She panicked, tried to play it off, said it belonged to her cousin, and that she was just house-sitting it. But the more she talked, the worse it got. At this point, the campground was basically buzzing. People were peeking out from behind RV curtains, pretending to take walks just to get a look at the suspicious van. Karen, completely out of her depth, was pacing around with her phone, frantically trying to call me, while also trying to convince everyone she had nothing to hide. But she couldn't explain the wired panels inside, the strange black case bolted to the floor, or why there were still laminated code sheets clipped near the sink. And when the retired DEA guy started quietly making calls of his own, that's when things started boiling over. I finally picked up one of Karen's calls, and the first thing she yelled was, Asterisk. Why didn't you tell me this was some kind of government van? Asterisk. No, sorry, I stole your camper. No owning up. Just full panic. She said officers were already on site and asking questions, and she didn't know what to tell them without making it worse. Her voice was shaking, and for once, Karen wasn't running the show. But she couldn't explain the wired panels inside, the strange black case bolted to the floor, or why there were still laminated code sheets clipped near the sink. I finally picked up one of Karen's calls, and the first thing she yelled was, asterisk, why didn't you tell me this was some kind of government van? Asterisk. No, sorry, I stole your camper. No owning up, just full panic. She said officers were already on site and asking questions, and she didn't know what to tell them without making it worse. Her voice was shaking, and for once, Karen wasn't running the show. Back at the campground, the situation was escalating fast. Local law enforcement had already taped off the area. Campers were being asked to step back. A black SUV pulled up, no markings, just that vibe, and two guys in plain clothes got out, walking straight toward the camper. Karen froze, and that's when things really exploded. As the two plainclothes agents approached the camper, Karen stood frozen like a deer in headlights. Her voice dropped to a whisper on the phone, saying, asterisk, they're not in uniform. What do I do? Asterisk, I didn't even have time to respond before she hung up. From what I could piece together later, she tried to act calm. Big mistake. They asked her a few questions, nothing aggressive, but very pointed. Who owns the camper? Why is she in it? Does she know what kind of equipment is still inside? Karen tried to stick to her story, but it was full of holes, and the agents knew it. But here's the second twist. Turns out, the camper had been flagged in a system asterisk before asterisk it was returned to me. Some paperwork had gotten mixed up, and technically, it was still listed as on assignment, which meant the moment it popped up at a public location, especially one that drew federal eyes, it triggered a soft alert. These guys weren't just curious, they were there to secure a potential leak. Karen, of course, had no clue. To her, this was just a super uncomfortable misunderstanding. But to the agents, this looked like a possible breach, maybe even a compromised investigation. And because she kept dodging the truth, they were beginning to think she asterisk wasn't asterisk, just some clueless woman on vacation. That's when they asked to search the whole camper, and that's where things took another sharp turn. So now Karen's standing there, sweating bullets while these agents start inspecting the camper. She's trying to act casual, but it's clear she's way out of her depth. They open a few compartments, flip some panels, and the moment they find the secured case bolted under the floor, everything shifts. Radios come out. More officers show up. Karen's asked to step aside, and that's when she loses it, starts yelling about how it's all just a misunderstanding and how asterisk I asterisk set her up by not warning her. Yeah, somehow this was now my fault. Meanwhile, I'm already on the way there, speeding down the highway with my heart pounding. I get there just as Karen's being asked to sit down while they finish their sweep. I explain everything, how the camper was loaned out to the DEA, how it was returned, how I didn't even know she took it, until it was too late. Thankfully, one of the agents actually remembered the paperwork and confirmed my story. That's when the tone changed. They calmed down, let Karen go, but not without a serious warning and a very formal conversation about interfering with federal property. And here's the final twist. Turns out, that secured case, it was a decoy. Something they planted during operations to monitor tampering. It was left in their asterisk on purpose asterisk to see if anyone would try to access it. Karen never opened it, but the moment she drove off in that camper, the system flagged it, and the whole thing became part of an entirely different kind of test. So technically, Karen failed, badly. After everything settled down, the agents had a private chat with me. They confirmed the camper was now fully cleared from their system, and the decoy equipment would be picked up officially. One of them even laughed a little, saying Karen had accidentally triggered a full response team just by doing what entitled people do best, taking what isn't theirs. They didn't press charges, thankfully, but Karen got a serious wake-up call and was warned to never involve herself with anything she doesn't understand again. Back at home, Karen tried to play the victim, saying she was traumatized and just borrowing the camper. But at that point, nobody was buying it. She never apologized, not once. Instead, she blamed me for making her look bad. But honestly, she did that all on her own. So, yeah, next time someone like Karen asks to borrow something, even for just a weekend, hard no, lesson learned. And if you ever find yourself with a camper that's been part of a DEA operation, maybe throw a blanket over the tech, or better yet, just don't let entitled people anywhere near it. Because in the end, some folks don't need a vacation, they need a reality check.